for you.
I know I can
Yeah.
project. Is this thing on?
Not yet.
I don't know. Well, yeah, that is pretty awesome. Sometimes I forget all this stuff. I was like,
Is it on? Oh, hold on. Here, use this one.
Yeah, oh, well then.
Very white.
Yeah, I sometimes like forget all this stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty badass king over there.
Well, you know what's funny is, because a lot of that stuff, like there's some years between now and then, but I'm like, oh, that was fun. I want to do that right now.
You clearly enjoy the physicality of these roles, and you're probably, I would say, hired for them. Are you interested in doing a straight up like rom-com sitcom?
Yeah, I mean,
Because you're hilarious.
well, I don't. People tell me I'm funny. I always do.
You guys think Zach's funny?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do a rom-com or anything like that. I've had some chances to do, less physical roles, more.
Imperfection.
Yeah, that was kind of like a romantic rom-com kind of deal. And playing an Irish guy.
Super stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, I've done some stuff where it's not physical. Actually, I did a movie recently where it'll be out in a little bit, where I'm not the physical guy, and I'm talking, I'm the one sending people out to do the physical things. And I was like, man, I should go do that. I think that guy's gonna get back.
I was looking through your IMDb, and I thought Jared had the most credit. I was wrong. You have 58 credits so far on IMDb.
Wow.
This guy has been on so many projects, including CSI Miami, Cold Case, Law & Order SVU, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Walking Dead, Project Blue Book, MacGyver, and that's not even including Black Sails and Shameless and all your other projects. I mean, congratulations for being the busiest person.
I know the problem is that it would seem that takes a majority of my life, but it doesn't. That's I'm mostly planting trees and taking care of children, changing diapers.
Congratulations, by the way, since the last time again, you've added 2.
2, I doubled up.
Double up! So what's it like having 4 children?
I don't know, you should ask my wife. No, it's great, and basically when you go from 2 to 4, that's when you just there's no more pretend. You're mother and father-in-law, move in, please come help us. Mom, Dad, would you like to come help us?
You have to tell the story you were telling me the other day about your son and your television.
Oh yeah, so I have 3 girls and a boy. The twins, there's 1 boy. And, he's a little like me,
How old is he?
He's 2.5 now, and my 42nd birthday, which was in May, I'm 42.
Congratulations, look at you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be a grandfather soon. And I was just we were out playing on the trampoline, having a blast on the swings. I built them a little playground. And I was taking them in, and I was making a little snack. I'm in the kitchen, they're in the living room, I just hear this clunk type sound, loud clunk. I go in there, and everything's fine, nothing going on. Go back, finish the snack. Later that night, it's my birthday, I'm finally sitting down. My wife's all right, the day's done. Go to turn on TV. There's just a giant hole in the middle of the TV and a crack that goes. It's an 82-inch television, it's massive. It's my whole wall, and there's a built-in around it and all that. And so I kind of trying to figure out what happened, and I realized that sound that I had heard earlier in the day was my son picking up the dog's bone and just breaking the TV. Just let me see if I can throw this bone through this TV. And that's what he did. Actually, there's an update to that story. This morning, I woke up and I was FaceTiming with the kids and Vinny was saying, Daddy, new TV, we got a new TV on the wall. And so, because I was using it as well, now we don't have a TV. And now you can go outside and, play with sticks. But now, so it's been I guess since May, we didn't have a TV in the house.
Wow, 4 kids.
Yeah, I have like a love. It's funny because I'm on TV, but I have like a love-hate relationship. Like, I think people should like watch TV, but also play with sticks. Yeah.
Touch grass.
Touch grass.
Yes.
Do both.
Well, we're mostly going to open this up to fan questions, but I've been having fun with everyone doing name this film. And I'm going to give you a description and see if you remember what it was called.
Is this a film I'm in?
Yes, clearly, yes. A social media junkie fakes his own death just to see which of his friends will show up to his funeral.
Friended to death.
Friended to death with Zach McGowan. Tell us about that film.
It was just after, I think I was shooting Shameless at the time, and an offer came in to do this small movie. You know, independent movies kind of are different than studio films, and it was a young writer, director, producer team who were actually married, and one of the producers was going to play one of the characters. I sat and met with them, and it was kind of like before. It's so funny because social media is like everything probably, but this was like
2010 maybe?
yeah, 2010, 11, and like it was just before social media like took over and everyone understood everything. So it was actually about someone, and essentially social media affecting someone's mental health to the point where they were literally like friended to death, like the likes and the unlikes and all that, like drove him to kill himself. And actually, that's me in the movie. Luckily, I won't bring it.
Spoiler alert, it's fine.
But yeah, and it was interesting to do because I think when we were doing it, it was such a new space that people were like, I remember like someone would actually care what someone said online about them. And I was like, yeah, dude, you see what's going on online?
Yeah, it was prescient. That movie was a little before its time. Yeah. We're going to open up for fan questions, but I have to ask, of all of your scenes as Rowan, what has been your absolute favorite?
I had so many favorites, but one always stands out. It's when me and Ronan and Clark are up in Becca's lab looking down after all that madness that went down there. And, she's, basically we're unsure about the future and what we've done and what we're going to have to do and all that. But the reason it stands out is because we were supposed to be shooting something with Paige down there, but Paige had an emergency and couldn't shoot. And they had to get written the next episode, but they only had me and Eliza because we were shooting this whole thing, so they had nothing to shoot. There was no other actors on set. And I think Jason and Charmaine came in and were like, hey, since Paige can't shoot, we have to move on to the next episode. So we're writing that scene right now. We're in hair and makeup, and they were like, and we'll be rehearsing it in half hour. And we were like, can we see it? And they were like, just give us a moment. And 10 minutes before we were in there, they came with this 4-page dialogue scene. And me and Eliza were just reading it out loud as we walked to set. And then sometimes things are written so well that it doesn't actually, it makes so much sense that it wasn't hard to memorize it. And we just went up there and rocked it. It was great. And I actually felt when things like that happen, you're also
Yes.
I have built a skill set.
Be after, be good.
Yes.
Did you have a question?
I may as well.
You're sitting right there, it's fine.
Yeah, what was it like working with John Cusack on Shameless?
Shameless. Who watched Shameless?
Oh,
All
Yes.
right, we got some Shameless. Yes. Just an absolute dream come true. And she is everything you could think. It's actually weird. Some actors, you don't necessarily get a sense of who they really are when you watch their work. But if you've watched her work, you know Joan. Joan that's who she is. She's the most kind and sweet and just intelligent person. And she's very her creative process is thus that you gotta try to keep up, you know. If you don't try to keep up, you might just sit there. And so a lot of what I did on that, I think, and kind of how they found that storyline was a lot of times I would just be like sitting there in awe of like Joan and Bill and like the whole situation. And I'm just like, well, they didn't write me any lines, so I'm just gonna like eat eggs here and fall in love with Joan Cusack. Which isn't a hard task.
And be completely naked
Yes.
on screen.
A little bit of
Are you contractually obligated to have your shirt off in every show and asking for a friend?
No, I'm not. And it's funny, like, because, you know, I get a little older and stuff, like, I'll do a show and like, I'm like, oh, man, I want my shirt off.
It should be in the contract.
It should be in the contract, like a writer. I would like purple M&Ms and just not wear my shirt. You know, like that should be in your shirt off.
You didn't want me to take my shirt off.
You're like, but I'm fit now, fit 42. I got it. You're all welcome to line up. We have a microphone up there. We're just gonna like open it up for Q&A for Zach. Anything goes, right, my man?
Yeah, whatever you guys.
It's
whatever you
Sunday.
want.
Go again.
Sunday.
Welcome. Oh, I think, does everyone here know how you got discovered? This story is epic.
Discovered.
You literally were talking and that's how you got discovered.
Yeah, well, you know, like, people, I was looking at the discovery. It was kind of like the first time someone like paid me for like my services. I was at a bar. No, I was at a bar. I was doing like fake movie trailer voices, like take shots. And I was like, in a city where anything can happen. You know, and like this guy was at the bar. Was like, "Do you do that?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I do that." And he was like, I just like made this movie and I have to cut the trailer and I tried to do, but they said it's gonna be like this much money and I don't have that much. He's like, would you, like, he said, what's your rate? I'm like, $1,000. He's like, that's great, that's much better than, could you come to my studio tomorrow? So I like came there and I got like $1,000 to do this like trailer. And then I used that and then like I paid a sound engineer to put together a voiceover reel. And like, that's how I got my voiceover agent and like started actually making a little money rather than, you know, working in restaurants and stuff.
It's actually a pretty cool origin story. Yeah.
That's my origins. And I was bit by a spider.
And you were a
Actually was, that's a spider.
And of course you're fine, Mr. Zach McGowan. Yeah.
It's just a black.
Yeah.
Just a flesh wound.
Do you talk to other cast members once the show ended?
Yeah, I chat with most of them, and we all follow each other on social media, like everyone, and you keep abreast of people that way, but I'm one of the LA contingent of the cast. You know, there's like the Vancouver contingent, the LA contingent. So I see a lot of the LA folks, probably more than some of the Vancouver folks, but I've also been back up to Vancouver for like 5 other jobs. Actually, I'm supposed to go up there like in a month. So, you know, they're your friends in Vancouver, so you're like, hey, I'm in Vancouver, what's up, what are we doing? Let's go to the park, let's do whatever. So yeah, we all stay in the middle. Yeah, we actually go to the park. You know? I like, because there's sticks in the park.
I love that.
Grass. Yeah, so we all stay in touch. And I you know, that's part of this thing. You kind of have these, like, you go on a show and there's like a little family that develops, and it's almost like going to like camp or college or cons. Like you have a community that's developed, and you know you have communities kind of everywhere, and it's cool.
And for first-time attendees who may not know, this con is the brainchild of Zach McGowan, Bob, and Eliza. Like, this is their con. So let's thank them for this. More than a little Zach.
I just want to say that I really like the conclave. What was it like to film that one?
You know, it was actually, you know, because I knew that was going to be the end and whatnot, but I thought that was like a really cool scenario. And to be honest, a lot of times, I've said this before, like, I really like, sometimes I'm like, that might be a better sister. Oh yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it was just like lots of fight sequences, And that armor was like the coolest costume that's ever been made for me, and it actually like is armor. Like you can.
Did you get to keep it?
No, but I got to wear it like just in season 7 when I did that flashback thing. Like they were like Jason called me. He's like, "Can you come up quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He's like, "I need you just up here like tomorrow." And I was like, "All right." And I went up there, and then I showed up, and like I went into the trailer, and like it's just hanging in the thing. I was like, "Oh, this stuff still fits." I'm like, "Oh yeah, here's the sword. Let's do it." But yeah, it was really fun. The hardest thing actually about that was that hammer. The big hammer stuff was a little bit difficult because it's like very awkward, and also anytime you have to actually like make contact with like a weapon with a person, even if it's like a soft one, and the way that works is there's a little bit of weight to even the foam thing, so that was making the handle bend and look silly, and trying not to hurt the poor guy who's, you know, like whose job today is to just get like smashed in the head with a hammer, you know, and they're like, smash him harder. You're like, I don't, you have kids, right, man? Smash the poor guy. And he's like, no, he's huge, so he's like, I can take it. I'm like, oh, I know, but like, don't want to. But it was really fun, and then, I mean, got to do stuff with Luna and Octavia. That was really cool. It was like a 2-on-1 sword fight, which actually is the only one I've ever done like that. Normally it's like 7-on-1 me. But that was really fun. And then actually it was really interesting that night that Rowan passes on to the next spot. That was actually election night, 2016. It was a really crazy night. Yeah, it was a nuts night. Like, it was like, and it was raining, and it was like lightning, and like Donald Trump was becoming president, and I was dying, and like me, like we were all cut up because we were like, you know, the swords on the 100 don't have the pirate hilt, which is like actually protects your knuckles from just, because they're not sharp, but they're still, you know, you got a bamboo sword to the knuckle, you know what happened. And so we were all just like bleeding out of our hands, and the water was dripping blood on it, and it was the fake blood and then our blood. And I totally, Nadia had gotten me like 5 or 6 times on my hand, and I was really trying not to get her once, but she, you know, sometimes it goes, it's like if your hand's here, you're fine, but if it's here, you get knuckled, and like, I totally knuckled her. So, and she was like trying to go on, and I just see it in her face, and she's like, I'm sorry, Nadia.
Do you know that there was a conspiracy theory that because we didn't see Rowan, like there's a theory that you were in the water and then you were resurrected, like that Rowan wasn't dead.
Well, you know what's funny about that was that obviously the first time we like met him, that's what he did to Clark, right? Clark jokes him out.
It's true.
He pretends, which I always, actually I remember when we were doing that, like when Jason was on it, it's like, you think that works? I was like, yeah, every time I've ever seen a movie where someone chokes someone out, like they don't do it long enough. Like, to really make sure someone's unconscious if you're gonna do that, like, you know, because people come back pretty quick from that, and you can totally fake that you're done and then continue on. And I was like, and most people can hold their breath for well longer than like the 3 seconds you stay on that shot. But yeah, I mean, there was some acid, there was some cuts that were pretty bad. You know, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It was fun to read them though, because people were, they didn't want you to leave the show, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I had already, I mean, actually it's funny, actually just before the conclave, which is the episode before, which is in some of the videos where I'm like one champion instead of, you know, everyone. That scene was actually shot after I cut my hair and my beard off for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of something to do with someone who was couldn't shoot or whatever. So I was like, it was like, Paige, something had happened to Paige where she couldn't shoot, and I had gone down to LA, they'd cut all my hair off Marvel had just like shaved my beard, cut all my hair off, and made me speak in a Russian accent. And then I was shooting a scene with Paige's husband where I was like torturing him in a chair with a knife. And then like I had to go up to shoot that stuff with Paige, and they like put a beard on me, like individual hairs, like they build that beard. That's not a real, like it was like 5 hours of one hair at a time. And they had to put a wig on me, so I'm like wearing a wig and a fake beard. And I was like just being a Russian, I'm back to this guy. Yeah, it was confusing, but it's nice.
That's fun. Thank you.
So I don't really know how to phrase it, but in season 4 at the end, Roan kind of, tells everybody that Clark became a Nightblood by science, and that leads to the Conclave. And given what happened in season 5 and the destruction of the end of the world again, do you think Roan, if he had known that, would have made a different decision and let her become commander?
Well, I think hindsight is always 20/20, but I think in the moment that Ron was like in over his head with understanding what that stuff was, like I think his understanding of science was like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like his was like, I don't, so I think, I don't think he could have really made any different choices, and I think in the end, he was actually like not, like, he was like actually a pretty good leader, I think. Like he did his best, and I think he did his best to keep war from happening. I think that's essentially like probably the number one thing that we should all be trying to
Do better.
is not kill each other.
Do better. Okay.
Thank you.
Did you do anything to familiarize yourself with the lore of the 100 for like the first 2 seasons? Because you got cast in the show halfway through.
Yeah, I was already friends with Bob, so I watched, I think like almost everything that had come up to that point, right, when I was offered the part by Jason. So I was fairly familiar with what was going on already. Also, I was like instantly welcomed into the community where everyone just was, oh, by the way, this, and, so I got all the kind of specifics and whatnot. And then I also realized that the way they were introducing him, that he actually wouldn't know a lot of stuff because he had kind of been like, in some other, kind of like separated from it and was trying to use that to get back to the life that he had formerly led, so to speak. So that he was a little bit in the dark because he was like out in the wilderness by himself and whatnot. So that anything that I didn't understand could be what he didn't understand too. So yes, and that, the way I always look at it is you can never know everything, but if you can know just enough, then move forward.
Thanks, Zach.
Did you watch the rest of the show? I'm just curious, after you left.
Yeah, well, of course, my wife is a fan of the show, so, and now my kids are fans of the show.
Oh, wow.
Like, so they watched the show. In fact, it was really strange, by the way. I went home last night after the party, and I ended up FaceTiming, like, I got a text from my wife because the kids were up and whatever. And I like FaceTime, and like, my 11-year-old was like, picking up a FaceTime at like 1 in the morning because the kids were screaming. And I was like, looking at her, and it's like, she's just like a hair younger than a lot of you. Like, she's just like one, like, it's like just a couple. So I'm like, can't wait to go to like, her high school parties and all that.
You're gonna be the cool dad. You're gonna take her to Comic-Con.
Yeah, if I'm invited.
Right. That's cute. You're gonna have a teenage girl real soon. Good luck with that.
Yeah. And then soon they'll have 2. Then they'll be 20s.
Yeah. Mazel tov.
Hi, I have 2 questions if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, ask away.
Okay. So in a few scenes we see Roan on a horse. What's it like filming on a horse and being like on a horse like most of the day?
Well, I come from New York City, right? So like I didn't grow up with horses or doing any of that type of stuff. Like, but for some reason I've always had like tremendous connection with animals. I don't know, like, just dogs, horses, cats, any kind of animal. I don't know, I just do well with animals, even probably in some ways better than I do with humans sometimes. And I kind of got taught how to do horseman stuff when I was on Black Sails, and then when Jason asked about that, he's like, "Will you ride?" I was like, "Yeah," And our stunt coordinator, Marshall, his dad is like the horse and stunt master of all of Canada, and so actually me and Tasia went up to their ranch and just like rode horses around the most beautiful spot, because Tasia was a little bit new to horse game, and she was like, "Are these things gonna kill us?" I was like, "No, these things eat grass. These things eat grass, like super gentle, like they love, like they're just big, misunderstood, soft animals that love being in groups with others." So yeah, it's really nice, and I mean, I think what's amazing about animals and horses in general is it's just like, it's all vibe. Like, whatever vibe you're putting out is gonna be what they give you back. It's like, if you're nervous, it's gonna go, it's gonna get bad on set. But it actually worked out great, and Tasia did great. I mean, we were like, that was actually that stuff, like marching with all those people and all those bow and arrows, and because horses don't necessarily, like a gun doesn't quite freak out a horse, but like bow and arrows and like pointy things, they know that that's not good. They're like, "There's here." No, don't like that pointy object. Of course, we're standing in front of like 1,000 people with pointy objects. So it could have, and then like Bob is like tied up with like a hood over his head, like at the foot of the horse, and Henry's down there, Ian's down there, like same deal. And then there was a bear that came out of the woods.
Not scripted.
Yeah, like horses don't like bears. So there's like a lot of things that can go wrong, but everything went really nice. It was raining, like, the rocks were wet. We were in a quarry that had zero footing it was like actually like slick rock, which is not good for horses, especially shoe horses where like their metal is like sliding and there's like sparks when they're walking. But yeah, it was great, and I think it was super epic. And we got this, by the way, there's some shot they have, and I don't think they ended up using it, where we're coming over that like berm with the whole army on the horses, and there's just a giant rainbow. It's like, we're all like, covered in war paint, and it's just like this beautiful rainbow. They didn't use that shot.
And my second question is, you've been in a lot of genres and stuff. Do you have like a favorite genre to work in?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I love acting, so to me, like, there's not that much difference between any acting job, whether it's a comedy or a genre thing, a horror thing, of action. It's all the same. Like, you're just trying to make it real and work, and so it's like what you do as an actor doesn't really change, and then you watch it and you either like it or you don't like it. It's kind of, or you don't watch it at all, which that has happened too. I've been in plenty of things I've never seen. So yeah, my favorite genre is whatever the next genre I'll be working in.
Thank you.
I want to know your favorite blooper moment from the 100. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because it's weird. I don't get in a lot of blooper reels, weirdly. And I don't know why that is, but...
Because you're perfect.
No, it's not that I'm perfect. But like, I'm not that dude who like messes up my line or like doesn't know, oh, I was supposed to go left here, or like, that's just not, like, my mind is constantly going, so I've already like run down that checklist 19 times before we got there, so I knew where it was. But so kind of my favorite blooper moments are just in the 100 was just, you know, when you were speaking grounder, like it was just, it was inevitable. It was inevitable that there was going to be something, and we kind of, it was so hard to do, especially when we had a lot of it, that we kind of concentrate on handling when they covered us, getting it right, so we get it right. But then when you turned around, a lot of times, like if like when I'm talking to Toss and they're over my shoulder with us, like I might just be going like blah blah blah, blah blah blah, and she'd be like, you know, I have a and so one of my favorites actually in one of the photos that I have is when I'm sitting on the throne and she's coming up to like whisper, you know, something's happening, you know, and they don't have a line for it. They're like, you know, she's whispering to run what happened, and I'm supposed to just like register what she said, and it's a very big deal. And you know, she didn't even written anything for her, and she just comes up and she's just like blah blah blah, I have a blah blah blah. I just break out laughing. What are we doing? What is this? And yeah, that was probably one. And then a lot of the sword stuff is funny, especially when you in a sword fight and you get a little bit of there's like put a little blood on your sword and that's like sticky, and then your sword like falls in some thing and you like break it up and it's just like covered in twigs. Oh, so it's not gangster anymore. And I was like, no, it isn't anymore. Some of those, like, what else? I mean, just malfunctions in general. Like, you know, sometimes you'll be doing it in like you're in some serious moment, and then they're like cut, and you just realize like your scar has been like off the whole time. Like, oh, that was good. I thought, no, okay, yeah. Blew that. Okay, I'm falling apart.
Hey Zach, it's Diane.
Oh, hello.
Hi. So I have a question about you. I've known you for 6 years now, I think. Yeah. And you are just boundless energy, positive. You just have a beautiful energy around you, even your family, all the time. And I'm sure there's struggles here and there, but you are always on to the next thing, and you are fearless. And I'd love to know if you know where that like comes from.
I mean, I don't know if this is the right answer, but like, my dad is a Marine, and like he used to literally like put us in like this like inflatable. I remember like the way he taught me to swim in the ocean was like he blew up this inflatable raft and tied a rope to it and took me out to the beach in the middle of a hurricane and put me, and I'm like 6. And he was like, because I've been asking him, like, how do you survive in the rips? Like how do you make sure you can get back? And he like literally like put me in the raft and like tied a rope and like let it out and would let me get out holding onto the raft to try to like figure out how to swim, you know, sideways in the current to get back. And he'd be like, you know, you want to hold on to that. And I'd be like, yeah. He's like, you know, if you don't hold on to that, like I'm gonna have to try to come get you, and then we might not make it. So you should hold on. Like, and I know that's like a little like intense and stuff, but like honestly, like stuff like that has served me very well in life. Understanding that things can be scary, but you can still mitigate them, and you can still operate calmly and keep your head straight and kind of navigate through any scenario, because life is going to throw things at you that you're unprepared for regardless. And generally speaking, it's just like, will that overwhelm you? Because once you're overwhelmed, you're done, right? It's like once you panic, once anything happens, and it's the same for a situation like in the ocean as it is for like, I didn't get that job I really wanted. That panic that can set in is, you know, I mean, essentially it's like that we are our own worst enemies, right? That sometimes it seems like the whole world is after you, but really that's just like in your head, you know, that's not true. Like, the whole world does not care about you. Like, they're not thinking about you, they're dealing with their thing. So it's really about keeping your mind calm and keeping yourself, you know, centered. And I think that, you know, that's an extreme example of like me in the rap, but like there's a lot of stuff like that. Like I remember once, like, and also like, I mean, my mom is no different either. Like she's just tough. But like I just remember like, it's like when you get injured, right? Like you can like freak out. But like it's like, I don't know, it's like, if you get bit by a snake and you freak out, you're gonna die. If you get bit by a snake and you stay calm, you'll probably be fine. And it's that. And I don't know where that comes from, but it's a big part, and it's something like I'm trying to bestow on my children of just like, just stay calm. The more that you let your mind just unravel, the more you will unravel. Like that your physical body is a representation of what's going on inside of your head. So just stay calm, stay centered, concentrate. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, sometimes I get frustrated and I get frazzled and all that. But I just try to keep calm, and I also try to remember that that it's all relative. Like my mom is a flight attendant, and so we traveled all over the world as kids, seeing. And one of the things that I think we did that was a little different, like, well, some people would be going to some like resort. My dad would be taking us to like a shanty town in Mexico, and we'd be like, you know, like he literally took us through like an armed checkpoint just to show us how to get through it. Like, you know, and like how you talk to people who, you know, are going to, or are risking, are threatening you. And so, yeah, I don't know. So I think it's all of that and more. I don't know. I just try my best, and I just try to stay centered.
Well, I think you're amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, and please thank your dad for his service. And I have personally a few times, but he's amazing too, so thank you.
He is.
Thank you.
Hello. My mom really hopes you'll never do this, but would you ever cut your hair or shave your head for a role?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's funny because people ask me, I'm like, I have. Like literally since the 100, I cut my hair off like twice. It's just that it grows really fast. Like, and I'm not joking. Like I get like an inch of hair every month. Like if I shave my head, like it's like an inch long in a month. And I don't know why that is. I've been told that it's something to do with like, because I like eat well or I stay exercising, that helps with some sort of system that grows hair or whatever. And then probably because, you know, genetically or whatever, my dad and my mom still have their hair, so their hair. But yeah, I would totally. I mean, it's funny. Like most of my life, I didn't have long hair. Like I didn't even grow my hair long until I was like 30 years old. So, and that was like 12 years ago. So that's only like a quarter of my life I've had long hair. Like even like when I look in the mirror, like right now I don't feel like I have long hair because like my self-image is, you know, kind of your self-image locks in sometime around like 20 or somewhere in there. And like I had a shaved head back then, so like still inside of me, like I have like a shaved head and all that. So yeah, I would, you know, it's really for lack of, like this is what happens when I don't do anything. Like, you know, it just grows. So yeah, I would love to shave my head. And I mean, the other thing too is when I shave my head, it's kind of, I have like scars all over my head. So it's like when I was the youngest of 3 boys. So got quite a few, you know, probably I should have gotten stitches a lot more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I got a note to remind you there's another opportunity for an all-guest photo op. After the Bob and Liza panel, 3 p.m., you can go buy your tickets anytime for the whole cast photo after the Bob and Liza panel. Let's give a round of applause for Zach McGowan.
Thank you.